I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning from Life in the UK test, part 51, William Shakespeare. It's on page 26. We're doing wrist training, and if you participate in the wrist training, let us set your arms. William Shakespeare, we already had a little introduction in the last part, and that is that the Elizabethan period, so the time in which Queen Elizabeth I reigned, we never were told the dates. But one date is in 1588, she was. So something like that, in the 1560s, something like that. So this Elizabethan period is well remembered for its richness in poetry and drama. And especially well remembered is the period for the plays and poems written by William Shakespeare. So plays are meant basically like scripts for a movie or the plays for theatre. He wrote them for theatre, movies were invented. And poems are basically short stories, but they have a little bit different style. And William Shakespeare had written many poems and plays, theatre plays, so stories to present in a theatre. William Shakespeare, 1564-1616. So these are his life dates, his year in which he was born and the one in which he died. 1564-1616. Shakespeare was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He was a playwright and actor and wrote many poems and plays. Playwright, I mean probably that is the job term for writing plays, like scriptwriter, for writing movie scripts, scriptwriter, and he was a playwright. So he was a playwright and actor, so that means he performed in theatre, and so there were characters and he performed them. Characters of the fictional piece. It doesn't have to be a fictional piece, and it doesn't have to be fictional characters, but there were characters and he learned these roles and then pretended to be these persons on stage in a theatre. And an actor, and wrote many poems and plays, and he wrote many plays which are the story which happens on the theatre stage and the people can watch that play out, and he wrote also many poems, so short stories, basically. We're having the hands next to us, formed to fists, and we're bringing them to the inside and to the outside of these fists. And we're having 3 rules. The first rule is that if you're feeling pain, we're stopping immediately. The second rule is that we're going only as far as you can go with a little bit of effort. And the third rule is that we're not overdoing it. So it means we're doing not more than we're capable of doing, and we're even more advanced. We're stopping even before we're reaching our potential. So it is now. And directly the second one. And we just did the flashlight, and now we're doing the spotlight, and it would have been better to do it from the other way around, but it's not a problem, I guess. Up and down. And up, and now down, and now we're going to do it just for last time. So William Shakespeare, born 1564 and died 1616, was born in Stratford-upon-Avon in England. And he was an actor, and he was a playwright and a poem writer and a play writer. His most famous plays include A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. A Midsummer Night's Dream. A Midsummer Night's Dream. A Midsummer Night's Dream. We also know of other plays, for example, from Jean Bourbon, or something like that, I can't pronounce it, Jean Bourbon, The Bruce, about the Battle of Knockburn, 1314, and we know of the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer from around 1400. And now we know of A Midsummer Night's Dream. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. So we know of William Shakespeare, that he wrote, for example, the plays, his most famous plays include A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet has been one. Hamlet one, Macbeth another one, and Romeo and Juliet one. He also dramatized significant events from the past, but he did not focus solely on kings and queens. He also dramatized significant events from the past, but he did not focus solely on kings and queens. Dramatized means that he made it more dramatic. That means if there's a story about a carriage driving from London to Edinburgh, they are not driving there and are just driving there all day or a couple of days, and they will not come into a rain shower, they will come into a thunderstorm. So it is dramatized. Instead of that way, as they actually did, for example, driving through a rainstorm, that will be a thunderstorm. And it probably won't be just a thunderstorm, it will be the storm of the century. And we will not break one wheel, we will break all four. So it's dramatizing. So it's actually just happening one little thing, and you make it way more dramatic. And he did it about significant events from the past, where we don't know what it could be. It would be the time for a little joke, but I'm not doing it. We're staying by the step. So let's do the next exercise. We're having the hands now, the flat hands next to us, and we're bringing the hands to the inside and to the outside, and that is the magician. It's very similar to the flashlight, just with the position which the hand had taken is differently, but we're having the same three rules. The first one is, if there's pain, we stop immediately. The second one, we're going only as fast as we can go with the active effort. And the third one, that we are not overdoing it. So to the outside and to the inside. Now, similar exercise, the pancake flipper. Same setup. Now we're bringing these flip palms to the sky. Up to the sky, and again down. And last time, up to the sky, and down. So William Shakespeare, 1564-1616, born in Stratford upon Avon in England. He wrote many plays. He was an actor, playwright, and he wrote also poems, something else. Was he? And he wrote, for example, his most famous plays are A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. And he wrote plays about things that happened in the past, and he made them dramatized. So he also dramatized significant events from the past, but he did not only write about kings and queens. He was one of the first to portray ordinary English men and women. So, if he wrote a story that was not just about a king and a queen and noble, what was it? Story on kings and queens. So he was not just writing a story about a king and a queen, which might have happened in the past actually, and dramatized it, but he was also writing about ordinary people. So like Romeo and Juliet, they were at least not king and queen. So he wrote about people who were not king and queen. Shakespeare had a great influence on the English language. That has also Geoffrey Chaucer, who in 1400 published the Canterbury Tales. And so Shakespeare had a great influence on the English language and invented many words that are still common today. So he invented words, and many of them are still used today. There are a lot of things here happening which are important for us. He wrote, for example, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. He did not write only dramatized about kings and queens, but about ordinary men and women. And he invented many words, which are still used and which is a great influence on the English language. Lines from his plays and poems, which are often still quoted, include. Now we're getting through a few lines. So he had written plays and scripts and poems and short stories, and there are often lines in, and people are repeating them and saying them in ordinary life. So he was not only writing about ordinary man and woman, and he was not only inventing new words and having had a great influence on the English language, he also had written sentences down, which as a whole sentence are quoted from time to time. Let's do the next exercise. We're quadrangular castle architect, the arms long, the fists, and we bring these fists to the inside. And now up. And to the outside. And down. And to the inside. And backwards. Down. To the outside. Up. And to the inside. Now the last exercise, the clapping crystal fever, the hand with the fist next to us, we're bringing the fist down. Then we're pressing the hand slightly carefully against the fist. And now from the outside. And a bit pressing from the top. And a bit on the bottom. And then over to the outside, again hand next to us, fist which bringing down. And we're pressing carefully against it. From the outside. And from the top. And from the bottom. And now to a relaxing exercise. Have a long arm, make a little bend in the elbow, and go with moderate pressure over the middle part of the lower arm. And last time. And on the other hand, a little bend in the elbow, and go with moderate pressure over the middle part of the lower arm. So, Shakespeare had a great influence on the English language, and he invented many new words which are still in use. And there are also quotes by him. The one, for example, is, it's out of Henry V. I'm pretty sure to know that is the name of one of his plays. So it's not a quote by Henry V, about whom we know that he in 1415 defeated with vastly outnumbered troops the French in the 160-year-long 100 Years' War. That is Henry V. Now we are also, for some reason whatever, knowing that Henry V is the name of a play by William Shakespeare, which makes sense because he wrote about kings and queens, which had events which had happened evidently, which had happened actually in the past. And that quote from Henry V is, "Once more unto the breach." But I don't know what a breach is. I don't think it's a breach. So I need to look up what the word, I can't find it. Sought mean? But sought means seeking, just so a mixture out of searching and seeking, something like that. And they were trying to get sorting for something. So sorting and breach. Once more unto the breach. That is out of Henry V. And to be or not to be, that is out of Hamlet. To be or not to be. Well, translated means that to exist or not to exist. I can't translate or use another paraphrased words or a sentence for once more into the breach because I don't know what a breach is. I could paraphrase you or explain you what it would mean, the sentence once more unto the beach, but I'm doubting that that's helpful. To be or not to be, well, it would, because if you know what the word breach is and they explain the sentence to you, you just have to change that one thing, and then it would mean that. But I have a little suspicion that breach has nothing to do with the place, so that my explanation would be useless. And if you know what the word breach is, you understand certainly the words once more unto the. The next one is, now let's actually learn the once more unto the breach. We have 30, we were through with all the exercises. So once more unto the breach, out of Henry V, to be or not to be, out of Hamlet. And one more I think we can, now we cannot, but we have done it. A rose by any other name. I cannot explain it because I don't know the context out of Romeo and Juliet. A rose by any other name. A rose. A rose is in lowercase, but I think it means actually the flower. And not a rose, and it would be written in one word, but in poetry everything is possible. A rose by any other name. Let's end it. We are 3 and we are not able to remember these 3. So thank you very much, and until the next time.